Good news for me. Bad news for Marvel. Thunderbolts lost millions of dollars. Didn't matter how good the reviews were. What does Marvel do next? We already know what Marvel does next. You got a bunch of movies coming out. Hell, you talking? Rebecca Rubin says this on Variety. Days after Thunderbolts hit the big screen, Disney CEO Bob Iger was feeling celebratory. He publicly touted the comic book adventure as the first and best example of Marvel's new strategy, referring to the film's positive reception from audiences and critics. What a relief. Following a bumpy few years and a string of poorly reviewed misfires in the franchise. 6 weeks later, Thunderbolts has cratered at the box office, $371 million globally. It's one of the lowest grossing installments in all of Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe. If this is the second coming of Marvel, the superhero empire might need another reboot. Marvel's calculus has changed, says Sean Robbins, Fandango's movie analytics director. We're in a new era where not every Marvel movie is going to hit $1 billion. Since the MCU's inception with 2008's Iron Man, Marvel has been Hollywood's most consistent hit maker. It's also the highest grossing film franchise in history with $31 billion across 36 films. $1 billion per movie shouldn't be a barometer for success, but before COVID scrambled things, even less beloved installments were guaranteed a certain level of box office. Pre-pandemic, 19 out of its 22 films cracked at least $500 million globally. Since then, the once Teflon brand has struggled with commercial consistency. Starting in 2020, just 6 out of the 13 films have reached the $500 million benchmark. At least February's Captain America Brave New World and 2023's The Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania could blame their disaster grosses on terrible reviews. Thunderbolts had enthusiastic word of mouth, but it is yet to climb out of the red, suggesting there's a new ceiling for superhero movies that aren't based on marquee characters. A diminished global marketplace and oversaturation of superhero stories on the big screen and small screen are partly responsible for the decline. Audiences' habits and tastes have shifted. This year's biggest blockbusters have kid-friendly films like a Minecraft movie and Lilo and Stitch or original fanfare as Sinners. These lower-tier comic book movies aren't cinematic slam dunks anymore, says exhibitor relations analyst Jeff Bach. Thunderbolts wrapping up after another month in theaters is also a concern. Films aren't legging out like previous iterations. It's coming at an inflection point for the MCU. After inundating viewers with complex, interconnected stories across film and television, Marvel is intentionally slowing down on focus on quality over quantity. Is there an incentive to back standalone stories that are no longer safe bets? Or will the studio only greenlight sure things a la The Avengers or Spider-Man? After July's The Fantastic Four First Steps, another cinematic introduction of sorts, Marvel seems to be embracing a go big or go home mentality. The upcoming calendar is populated only by heavy hitters with hefty budgets. Avengers Doomsday and Spider-Man 4 in 2026, Avengers Secret Wars in 2027, an untitled film is set for July of 2027, and X-Men and Black Panther movies are in the works. But other projects that focus on one character, like Blade, have been stuck in protracted limbo. What's been working for the MCU is major team-ups, like 2021 Spider-Man No Way Home, 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine, or sequels to series with a series such as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which made $9.55. Thor Love and Thunder, just watched that shit piece again on for my rewatch. That's up now with Sam. We put that out together. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Black Panther Wakanda Forever made $8.59 for that. Guardians of the Galaxy made $8.45. Marvel used to thrive on the unfamiliar. When Kevin Feige was assembling a cinematic universe in the early aughts, X-Men and Spider-Man, Marvel's best-known characters, had been licensed to other studios. Yet he created an enormously popular property by introducing Iron Man and Thor in standalone adventures and then bringing them together for the Avengers. Those victories emboldened Feige to place bets on dicier comic book propositions such as Guardians of the Galaxy, which paid off spectacularly and expanded the franchise. But after too many confusing spin-offs and lackluster sequels, audiences seem less invested in new additions to Earth's mightiest heroes. Robert Downey Jr. can't return each time the MCU lands in dire straits. If the studio wants to replenish the well with new vigilantes, it needs to spend less on origin stories. But belt-tightening is getting harder at the cost of everything from actors' pay to visual effects to catering has drastically risen. And turning these movies into can't-miss events requires huge promotional dollars for globe-trotting press tours and premieres. Marvel reined in spending on Thunderbolts, aware that its characters hailed from the pandemic-hobbled Black Widow and underseen Disney Plus series. Typically, the studio tentpole cost $200 to $250 to produce and another $120 to market. Thunderbolts was slightly cheaper, costing $180 to make and closer to 100 million in marketing. Studios are working hard to bring the high-end budgets down, says David Gross. We're going to see less spending over the years of the pandemic, finally. Still, Thunderbolts needed to make 425 million to break even, a figure that seems unachievable. Marvel is unique because it's not as encumbered as rivals by the profits of losses or single films. The company can recoup some losses through Disney Plus and other home entertainment markets, to say nothing of the massive revenue streams from merchandising, theme parks, and cruises. And every film between Avengers installments can be viewed as a marketing tool. Case in point, Disney revealed the motley crew of reformed baddies and Thunderbolts will return in Avengers Doomsday. If audiences missed that chapter, they can always catch up on Disney. Real quick, I want to go back up because, as I said in the beginning, I was like, Rebecca Rubin, that was an excellent job. It was an excellent article. As much as I, in the beginning said, where do they go next? I understand what you're saying, but that's very well written. And I think that I agree with, I think 99% of that article. It's like, the main thing is that where they go from here is that they're going to go and they're going to focus on Avengers, clearly, the sure things. They're going with Spider-Man. People, the problem, they shot themselves in the foot with all the stuff that they did on TV. They shot themselves in the foot. They also shot themselves in the foot with the idea that everybody will watch whatever they do, no matter what. And they weren't really listening to the audience anymore. They just weren't. They were saying, well, everybody, they love everything we do now. We'll put whatever out. Did not work. And 180, by the way, they spent a little less than normal. 180 is too much for that movie. Way too much. I love the movie. I love Thunderbolts. Thought it was one of the better quality movies, and I still think it will be the best quality Marvel movie out of everything out so far this year, as far as Marvel goes. But it's too much money. So, Coy, you hear all this and you see what they should do. I feel that it's going to go into, look, we're going to hit with Spider-Man. We're going to hit with the Avengers movies. Then the three of us have been talking about this for about 3 years, since that's when we started Capes and Cows, by the way. I just found out it was 3 years ago, which
it's been 3 years.
It was 3 years.
So that means that we were doing the rewatches 4 years ago?
No. It was in the same. It was, remember, we started. We only did the rewatch.
I just thought we did the rewatches for like a good half year to a year.
Yeah, about 6 months. So we do about August will be the first Capes and Cows when we do. But nonetheless, we've been talking about it that long. Coy, once they finish this multiverse and get it out of here, X-Men is the play. And these kind of types of articles shouldn't come out anymore if they do X-Men right. Okay, it is great to have Turtle Beach back. And I've been talking about Turtle Beach. You guys have been raving about Turtle Beach, and why wouldn't you? The Stealth 700 headset that I got, it was so great. It just stood out to me was the sound, man. Like, just playing that Indiana Jones game, as I've told you guys, you could just hear every little thing. I love it. And it locks me in. It's better than the other previous headsets I've had. I don't like being aware that there's other things going on around me. I like being locked into it and hearing every bit of the sound design and just comfortability, to be honest with you. I could wear them for hours. I did. It's almost like they're so comfortable in my head. I was like, oh, I didn't realize I have these things on. I love how precise the audio is. I just feel like I'm so locked into the game when I'm doing it. And it's like that feeling I get when I'm in the theater. I'm just in the world because of the sound. I love sound. You guys know that. The other thing that's great about it is the 80-hour battery. That's crazy. I mean, you don't even feel like you ever have to even charge it. The worst is you're playing something and then it just craps out on you. And you're like, oh, no. The Stealth 700, it has the industry's first ever cross-play dual wireless transmitter system. What it means is that you can seamlessly switch between your consoles and your PC with just a click of the button. It gets even better. While being connected to your console, the Stealth 700 can connect with your phone for music streaming or taking calls at the same time. Listen to your favorite songs while gaming, and it's all done with the Stealth 700. And this is the easy part. You head to turtlebeach.com, use that code Kristian for 10% off your entire order. 10% off at turtlebeach.com with the promo code Kristian. But you're going to purchase it, and then they're going to say, hey, where'd you hear about us? You say, our show. You support our show, you tell them that we sent you, and get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today.
I'm so not worried about Marvel in 3 years. I'm worried about what Marvel needs to do to maintain or grow the brand back over the next 3 years. I think Fantastic Four is an obvious great step if it does well and the reviews are as strong as the trailers. Because my things with the Fantastic Four that I don't like are personal. Like the connections I have issue with isn't the average viewer. Like my connection to Human Torch is going to be different than other people's. So I think the movie's going to do well. I think that's a step. And then they've got Spider-Man. Then they've got 2 Avengers films. So I think we're good. But those need to really hit on the road to X-Men, and they can't keep having things come out like Thunderbolts, which is exceptional. I really love that movie, that don't do well. Like there is a point where the brand needs to have the commercial success as well as the critical success after. Like it can't have 1 and 1 anymore. I mean, we read the stats a second ago. Like the number of hits they've had, like it's so far above the average. They're still a very, very solid brand. But the people that love it are always going to be like, a little quieter than the people that hate it. So they need to be undeniable for a little while, because the loud idiots, like people that watch shows like this that don't like Marvel, I don't know why they spend their time doing that. But those people need to be silenced by just quality. And until we're there consistently, they're going to have to make articles like this. But I think X-Men's golden.
Winston?
Yeah, I think you both, what you need right now. We were talking about it with Superman and how that's a good starting point, and then you bring in Wonder Woman and Batman. You need your kind of S tier IPs. I think X-Men is that. That's what your next step is, and we've made it very clear that that's the direction that we're going. So sure, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back in to help right the ship with these next 2 Avengers films, and then you have the perfect handoff to one of the more popular IPs in superheroes, period. To kind of shoulder the load going forward. So, I think that is what you need to focus on. But Coy is 100% right. If you do not hit it with that quality, it doesn't matter. So the main thing you need to focus on beyond all of that is quality.
Yeah, it's got to be the quality of it. And I mean, even though the quality of Thunderbolts was there, it's just at this point, it's like, what we were just talking about before, the IP for that was not. It just was not. And it also goes back to what I was saying. Florence Pugh is an absolutely incredible actress, super likable, and carried that. She was great in the movie. Great. She's not a major movie star yet. She's just not. She's just not like in the way that do people know who she is? Sure. Do people flock out to see her movies? They don't. She's not a major movie star yet. She's every
Martian Manhunter is what you're saying.
Maybe she's got the tools. She's got the tools. She's great, and I thought she was good enough in that movie that could have made her a movie star, but nobody once saw it. It wasn't like people like, oh, she's like in the way that we talked about, like when someone like Ryan Gosling being cast in Star Wars, right? Ryan Gosling has not been. He's got everything about him. He's got movie star looks. He's got talent. He hasn't been in movies yet that you're like, oh, it's a Ryan Gosling movie. I'm going to check that out. I can't, Ryan Gosling's in it. I'm going to see it. That will be the case when he's in Star Wars. That will be. People will go, oh, it's a Star Wars movie with Ryan Gosling? That's cool. I'll go check that out. That he elevates it that particular way. But a movie that if it was, let's say, Fantastic Four with Florence Pugh, oh yeah, I'll go check that out for sure. That's great. She's but Thunderbolts, they go, what's that? I don't know what that is. New Avengers might have been the way. Maybe they should have done that. Maybe it gives away the end. I know, but maybe they should have. And I say this as someone who really enjoyed the film, and which leads me, Coy, to the last thing we talk about here is, as they mentioned in the article, I think streaming is going to be one of those movies. People are going to go, oh man,
this was actually great.
Yeah, they're going to go, that movie was really good. I think it's going to do very well on streaming.
I think it's going to do very well in streaming, and I think it's also going to be one that people look back on as formative. Like it'll be, oh, I wish I'd seen that in theaters because of how much it influenced this, or oh man, that's so crazy how it set up this. And I mean, I hope it finds a cult following, if not the following it had. And I'm glad it didn't lose so much money that hopefully they don't write it off as a failure. Like losing money is failing at the business side, but it's so good. Hopefully it still, begets the team more work. Hopefully it still establishes a tone and a style we want, but, learn what things didn't work in the marketing, learn what things didn't work in the build. But I mean, this director is seemingly fairly along the path towards X-Men. And I think one of the things Marvel needs to look at is keeping some things all ages, but also keeping things, some things for adults. I think Deadpool did really well for a reason. I think Thunderbolts tonally suited a lot of people for a reason. So obviously you want to keep it PG-13 and available to all ages, but I do think tonally we need to look at things like Blade and like darker elements going forward.
Yeah, Winston, is that a risk now? Because like Coy just said, that they said, hey, because studios and executives, they do this all the time. They look at, they don't really go internally and look at what happened leading up to it. They go, oh, nobody wants to see that kind of stuff. Like I always use Obi-Wan as an example, when it's like Solo comes out, like, oh, nobody wants to see movies anymore. Cancel that Obi-Wan series. It's like, no, people did want to see that. They did. It's not just a matter of one circumstance. It was the way that was presented and the circumstances of the way release and yada, yada, yada. Is that a big risk that they're going to go less into this and they'll just do, then we're not going to take any big risks anymore?
It's certainly a fear. That is certainly something to be worried about, because it's one thing if there's enough stuff already in the pipeline, already done, whatever, that you go, well, we finished it. We already paid for it. So put it out there. But that is certainly a fear. Like, I mean, that's essentially what we've talked about with Superman.
Right.
If Superman isn't successful, that they pull the plug on absolutely everything. Yeah, it is certainly something that I'm worried about. I'll be honest. But I think just by the nature of when you see enough like kind of shining light stuff that's still getting through right now, that they're not gonna willy-nilly just like kind of cancel on shit. They're just gonna probably be a little bit more cautious, and instead of greenlighting 3 or 4 of those types of ideas in a certain series, you might get one every 5 major IPs. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll be much rarer, but it'll still happen.
I also read an interesting article about Mission Impossible, how it doesn't have to make as much money one-to-one as like a first movie or even a sequel, because every time Mission Impossible comes out, it elevates Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3, 4. Like those movies, apparently Mission Impossible 1 makes something like $10 million every year a Mission Impossible comes out, and that kind of balances cost. And it was a really interesting article about franchises having that sort of thing. So looking at Thunderbolts losing 50 million, I do think it raises brand awareness. It keeps the conversation going. It might make enough on streaming to balance that 50 million out, but it also elevates other things. And then when Avengers comes out and it's necessary, people going back to discover it. So I think there's different movie math than ever. It's not one-to-one anymore. It's not make your budget, make your marketing, make your blah, blah, blah. We've gone from like algebra 1 to algebra 2. There's a lot of abstract math now we got to figure out.
What say you guys? What does Marvel do next? How will Thunderbolts become one of those movies that just becomes a massive hit on streaming? Will they continue? Will they make some drastic moves that they maybe don't have to as far as quality goes? Will Avengers and X-Men do so well that it fills in the money lost for Thunderbolts? Fantastic Four, same thing. Put your thoughts in there. Let us know.